Welcome to our podcast on expanding your English vocabulary together.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in as we explore 5 powerful words in depth.
Today we'll cover the words astonished, shocked, in tears, devastated, and desperate to help you master their usage.
Astonished is an adjective.
It describes feeling or showing great surprise or amazement.
I was astonished to discover the hidden waterfall behind the old farmhouse. The sight was more breathtaking than any photo could capture.
She looked astonished when the magician pulled a dove out of his hat. Her open-mouthed expression lit up the entire audience.
The scientist was astonished by the unexpected results of the experiment. His excitement led him to repeat the trial immediately.
Tourists were astonished at the ancient ruins unearthed beneath the city streets. Excavators uncovered artifacts dating back millennia.
He sounded astonished when I told him I'd climbed the mountain in a day. He couldn't believe anyone could keep up that pace.
Visitors to the museum were astonished by the lifelike dinosaur exhibit. Realistic animatronics made each roar feel authentic.
Parents were astonished at how quickly their baby started saying first words. That milestone came far sooner than expected.
The chef was astonished at how well the crowd received his experimental dish. Applause erupted after every bite.
She felt astonished when her favorite author replied to her fan email. The personal note felt like a dream come true.
Engineers were astonished by the robot's self-learning capabilities. Its rapid improvements outpaced initial projections.
He was astonished to find his childhood toy in the attic untouched. Dust-covered but perfectly intact, it brought back vivid memories.
The audience was astonished at the orchestra's flawless performance. Not a single note was out of place.
Tour guides were astonished when snow appeared in the desert for the first time in decades. Cameras clicked non-stop under white dunes.
She was astonished by the generosity of strangers after posting her story online. Donations poured in within hours.
He seemed astonished when his colleagues threw him a surprise retirement party. Tears glistened in his eyes throughout the ceremony.
Scientists were astonished to observe a solar eclipse through the new telescope. The clarity of the corona astounded everyone.
The students were astonished when the substitute teacher sang opera during class. No one expected such a beautiful voice in a math lesson.
I was astonished at how well my manuscript sold after publication. Reviews praised the storytelling in ways I never imagined.
She grew astonished as the puzzle solved itself through the algorithm she coded. The breakthrough felt almost magical. Shocked is an adjective.
It describes a sudden, upsetting surprise or emotional disturbance.
I was shocked to hear the news of the accident on my street. Friends and family scrambled to the scene in disbelief.
She looked shocked when the lights went out mid-concert. The sudden silence left everyone frozen in their seats.
The team was shocked to learn their project had been canceled without warning. Months of work vanished in an instant.
He sounded shocked when his paycheck arrived smaller than expected. His mind raced to find where the deductions came from.
Tourists were shocked by the sudden hailstorm in August. Windshield-sized pellets bounced off parked cars.
Parents were shocked at how much their teenager had grown over the summer. Clothes fit differently after just a few weeks.
The chef was shocked when the souffle collapsed in the oven. She had followed the recipe to the letter.
He was shocked to open the bill and see double the anticipated charges. His jaw dropped as he scanned each line item.
Scientists were shocked by the rate of collapse in the glacier data. Climate models had underestimated the speed of change.
Viewers were shocked at the plot twist in the finale. No one guessed the villain would turn out to be the hero's ally.
She felt shocked when her pet recovered overnight. The vet had said recovery would take weeks.
The city was shocked by the sudden power outage during the heat wave. Temperatures soared without air conditioning.
I was shocked at the surprise reunion with my childhood friend. We hadn't spoken in over 20 years.
Employees were shocked by the CEO's abrupt resignation announcement. Rumors of unrest spread rapidly.
He looked shocked when he saw his reflection covered in paint. He had missed the bucket rolling behind him.
She sounded shocked, reading the final exam questions. None of the topics matched her study guide.
Witnesses were shocked to see the meteor streak across the sky. It illuminated the entire horizon for seconds.
We were shocked at how quickly the floodwaters rose overnight. Driveways disappeared beneath rushing currents.
In tears is a phrase.
It describes being so upset or moved that one starts crying.
She was in tears when she received the scholarship letter. The relief and joy overwhelmed her.
He found her in tears at the airport, saying goodbye to her best friend. The emotional farewell tugged at everyone's heartstrings.
The audience was moved in tears by the charity's video testimonial. Generosity surged in the room afterward.
She sat silently in tears after reading the heartbreaking letter. Words could not express the depth of her sorrow.
He was in tears of laughter watching the comedian's parody. Every punchline hit home perfectly.
We were all in tears, cheering at the underdog's victory. The stadium roared with celebration.
She ended up in tears realizing her lost necklace had been found. Gratitude shone through her sobs.
He broke down in tears when his pet finally recovered from surgery. The vet had warned it might not pull through.
The bride was in tears walking down the aisle. Her father's arm sheltered her trembling hand.
Guests were in tears of joy at the surprise baby gender reveal. Blue confetti rained down in celebration.
She sat in tears after binge-watching the final season finale. The characters' fates felt deeply personal.
He became in tears, recalling childhood memories during the reunion. Laughter and tears mingled freely.
The students were in tears of pride at graduation. Months of hard work culminated in that single moment.
She found herself in tears, reading the farewell notes left by colleagues. Change always brings a bittersweet ache.
He ended the movie in tears at the twist ending. The storytelling left a lingering sense of wonder.
They were in tears of frustration when their tent collapsed in the storm. Camping became a soggy ordeal.
Devastated is an adjective.
It describes feeling extreme shock or grief, often after loss or disaster.
She was devastated when her childhood home burned down. Memories she'd held for decades vanished in flames.
The small town was devastated by the tornado's path. Entire blocks lay flattened in moments.
He felt devastated after hearing the news of his friend's accident. The guilt of not visiting sooner weighed heavily on him.
Farmers were devastated by the unexpected frost that ruined their crops. Financial losses threatened their livelihoods.
She looked devastated when the art gallery rejected her submission. Years of work seemed overlooked.
The company's employees were devastated by the mass layoffs announcement. Uncertainty loomed over their futures.
He was devastated when his manuscript was rejected without feedback. The silence stung more than a critique.
Families were devastated by the outbreak that swept through the community. Hospitals operated at full capacity.
She grew devastated realizing the ring he proposed with was lost forever. Their plans felt suddenly impossible.
The coach was devastated when his star player suffered a season-ending injury. Team morale crashed alongside the news.
She felt devastated reading the letter of divorce. Promises of forever shattered in formal wording.
Communities were devastated by the oil spill along the coast. Wildlife and livelihoods suffered irreparable harm.
He sounded devastated when describing the company's bankruptcy. Years of dedication evaporated overnight.
The athlete was devastated by disqualification for an unintentional rule breach. Gold dreams slipped away in a split second.
She cried out devastated as she watched her favorite restaurant close permanently. This neighborhood gem had anchored her weekends.
She lay devastated by the phone after hearing the doctor's prognosis. Hope flickered in the dim hospital light.
He felt utterly devastated, discovering the betrayal from his closest friend. Trust turned to ash in an instant.
The region was devastated by floods that rose without warning. Lives and homes were swept away in hours.
He was left devastated when the startup's funding fell through. All his planning faced a sudden dead end.
Desperate is an adjective.
It describes feeling a sense of urgency or extreme need, often due to lack of alternatives. She was desperate to find a job before rent was due. Applications were sent around the clock.
He sounded desperate calling customer service at midnight. No help seemed available on a weekend.
Farmers grew desperate during the prolonged drought. Wells ran dry and crops failed.
Parents were desperate to locate their lost child in the crowded fairgrounds. Search parties formed immediately.
She made a desperate plea for donations after her charity lost major sponsors. Social media shares spiked overnight.
He felt desperate to fix the bug before the product launch. Sleep became a distant memory.
Students were desperate for extra credit when their grades slipped below passing. They studied late into the night.
Drivers grew desperate for directions in the maze of back roads. Their GPS signal kept dropping.
Athletes felt desperate to score in the final seconds of the match. The stadium held its breath.
She became desperate enough to try every trick in the book to cure insomnia. None provided lasting relief.
Desperate shoppers camped overnight for the biggest sale of the year. Tents lined the store's entrance.
He made a desperate decision to sell his car to pay medical bills. The choice brought both relief and regret.
The stranded travelers grew desperate after flights were canceled indefinitely. The airport lounge became a makeshift shelter.
She took desperate measures to rescue the failing project. Unconventional tactics paid off in the end.
Desperate bidders raised paddles high to secure the rare painting. The auctioneer's hammer fell with a resounding echo.
He was desperate to reach the summit before nightfall. Each step felt heavier at altitude.
She offered a desperate discount to clear out inventory before the season ended. Customers snapped up bargains.
Desperate for inspiration, he wandered through the forest at dawn. The stillness sparked a breakthrough.
A desperate racer pushed the car to its limits on the final lap. Adrenaline drowned out fatigue.
She grew desperate when the power stayed off for days. Candles and generators became lifelines.
Desperate to keep the group together, the leader extended every deadline. Unity became the top priority.
That concludes our deep dive into these 5 essential English words.
We hope you feel confident using astonished, shocked, in tears, devastated, and desperate in your conversations.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more vocabulary insights next time.
Goodbye and keep practicing every day.